People have been asking when I give map sections of the videos to show my path along the road trip. They've been asking for distances between cities and for the duration, how long it takes to drive from one city to the next. So at the end of today's video, I will sum that up, every leg of the road trip so far, and in subsequent such videos along this road trip, the day of, I will include not just a picture of that part of the country, but also miles, kilometers, and hours. All right, here at the Horseshoe Council Bluffs. I did this at the end of last year when I was here in September. I'm gonna do it again. A little preview of Keep Track Week. Keep Track Week stats. Not that I know exactly which stats they'll be this year, but those go into the newsletter. And I want to give a preview while I'm here. 3 things I thought of that all kind of relate. One, well, this is the first one. You'll see the second one when the second video comes out about this. The first one, how much rake is taken off the table. I plan on counting for 5 hours, so I'll have a total for 5 hours. And then of course, you know, I could divide by 5 and tell you how many hours, how many dollars per hour it is. Interesting out here because rake is now $7 max per hand. Link at the top to the video from last year where I explained the difference. It used to be 6, now it's 7, but it also is a percent now. It wasn't an exact percent back when it was 6. So link at the top. If you don't see the link at the top, go into the description of the video. The link will be there. And $7 max. Most places now are 6. Here it's 7. So I'm going to count that. And I don't think I've done this before. I remember back in 2022, I was in the right place at the right time. I was in Aria late morning and happened to see a cashier who I chat with sometimes filling out some paperwork and saw how much money Aria had taken in cash game rake for the previous day, a full 24-hour period. So I posed that question in one video and then gave the answer in the next video. If I could find those videos, I'll also, the links at the top going by as I'm talking right now, or and also in the description of this video. If I can find them, I don't remember the title of the second one. That's why I say if I could find it, because I don't think the video in which I revealed the answer was like, that wasn't the theme of that video. So I might have a tough time remembering the name of that video. Anyway, I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna play, I'm gonna keep track for, like I said, 5 hours, and afterwards we'll see what it is. If I could venture a guess, so I'll give you my exact thought process to the guess also. My guess, okay, so a chop, 0 comes out in rake, maximum 7. If the pot gets to $70. So what's going to be like the most common? The most common thing? I don't know, I feel like, you know, 40 and 50 will probably be like the 2 most common. So you know, the pot gets to at least 40, at least 50. So $4 or $5 coming out. And I've done hands per hour here before. What is it, like high 30s? So if we say like, I don't know, 38 hands per hour, but a few chops, a few like not much in the pot, flop, turn, river, go check, 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 check. Maybe like 30 hands, each getting like $5 average taken out. So I'm gonna say a number between 1 and 200, but closer to 200 than 1. So I'll say, let's say $171 per hour taken off the table in rake. Just rake, not promos. So just rake, and also to let you know, it is a Saturday. So probably more tables and probably a little more action than some other days of the week. So there are all the details, and you'll see me in at least 5 hours with some numbers. Alright, I said I'd count for 5 hours. Wound up stopping the count after 2. Got kind of tired of counting. Also, haven't counted something in a while. Wasn't like used to it. There were many times I was close to missing it. It didn't help that one dealer kept dropping the rake well before the hand was over, which is very strange, but consistent. So, hour number 1. $164. So this was just Rake, not promo money. Some people view it the same. I don't. I actually might, in Vegas, maybe do something related to the promo money in a YouTube video, maybe in the newsletter. I'm not sure. Here it's kind of boring because it's $1 max per hand towards the promo fund. So it's really just how many hands were dealt. I don't know, it's not very like interesting. Occasionally there's like one guy limps and then both blinds and it's $9 and there's no rake and everyone checks it down. Occasionally there's a chop and occasionally someone raises pre-flop and that's the end of the hand. In those scenarios it's 0 towards the promo, but I mean most hands it's just 1. In Vegas though, the places that have promos are 6 plus 2, $6 rake, $2 towards the promo fund maximum, and some places have different rules when that first promo dollar comes out, when that second promo dollar comes out. So you have the dollars coming out at different times, different pot sizes, and either 0 or 1 or $2 coming out per hand in the Vegas rooms that have promotions. So it would be a lot more interesting to do something there. So here was just Rake, and hour number 1, $164. Hour number 2, $164. It was going to be close, and then the last hand of that second hour was max Rake. It went up from 157 to 164 on the count. So $164 came off the table each hour in Rake. That's a lot. If you view Rake and promo combined, I guess it was pretty close to $200 each hour coming off the table. That's a lot. Conclusion. First of all, before I get to a conclusion, here at the bottom, I actually don't even remember what my guess was. It was something. There it is. I'll see it in editing. And of all the people I asked who have answered so far, Brett, who I gave a shout out to back in the summer. He was playing a couple of tournaments at Orleans. And we had also played in Maryland back in 2020. We'd also played the same time in Vegas back in like 2015-16. He guessed 175 and 164. So he was $11 off. Unless you're using Price is Right rules, because he went over, it wouldn't count. But I counted it, $11 off. So there you go. Yeah, 164. It's a lot of money coming off the table. The thing is, there were so many hands that were max rake because there was so much action. Seat 2, I don't know, he had like $2 grand on the table at one point. Seats 1 and 3 went through several buy-ins. There was a lot of rebuying. Well, no, they were, yeah, rebuying. They weren't adding on. The 5 seat added on once or twice, so there was some money being replenished back onto the table in the form of rebuys. Before I forget, shout out to Red Sox. Didn't get his name, but he was sitting on my right. I sat down, he was on my right. He left while I was playing, never got his name. Also, every Bravo screen is broken, so I can't cheat and look in the Bravo screen and see what people's first names are. Not here, where every screen is just black, and we get clocked in up where we buy chips at the front desk. So shout out to him. And Jamie, gave him a shout out last year. He was on the next table. He had a large stack, and I also saw him win like a 3 or 4 way all in, so it was only getting bigger. Shout out to both of them. And yeah, 164 each hour. It's a lot. I was not counting the rebuys, which they were mostly coming from seats 1 and 3, but I mean, it was definitely more than $328. So like the rebuys made up for what was coming off the table in Rake, but we also had new players. But yeah, it's a lot. It was close to my guess. It was still like different sitting at the table, counting, seeing it every single hand. It's a lot of money. And yeah, it used to be $6 here max. Now it's 7, although there are some times where it's actually better that it's 7 max with a percent than 6 the way it used to be. But there you go. If there's any other interesting stat that is logistically feasible to count, leave it in the comments. Most of these types of things are in the newsletter now, but I have no problem throwing a few occasional videos together with stats like this. Love keeping track of things. and love answering some questions. Used to be a huge discussion. This is how all this started. It was a huge discussion back in the day in Vegas in like 2015 and 16. How many hands do we see per hour? And people loved talking about it. People loved asking. No one really wanted to count until I started counting, and then came up with some numbers and do it every once in a while for fun. So you have something you want counted, leave it in the comments. I'll see if it makes sense, and maybe I'll make a video out of it. Okay, ultimately this road trip started in New York. It will finish eventually in Las Vegas, Nevada. But so far, what were the distances and the times like? First leg of the trip was to get from Long Island to Atlantic City, New Jersey. That took, I had to drive about 175 miles, which is about 280 kilometers. It took about 3 hours, 15 minutes. That's what Google tells you, and that's what it actually took, because that was Martin Luther King Jr. Day. It was a holiday, so there was very little traffic, although that's rare. Next leg of the trip was Atlantic City, New Jersey to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. That was 365 miles, which is about 590 kilometers, and that drive took about 5 hours and 45 minutes. The next leg of the trip was Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania to Joliet, Illinois. That was about 475 miles, about 765 kilometers, and that drive took about 7 hours. The next leg of the trip was very short. It was Joliet, Illinois to Rockford, Illinois. I had 2 stops along the way that day, but to get from one city to the next, go north, go west, about 110 miles, about 180 kilometers, and it's only about an hour, 45 minutes driving. And then up to this point, the last leg of the trip so far, from Rockford, Illinois to Omaha, Nebraska. Got to go across the entire state of Iowa. About 420 miles, about 675 kilometers, and that drive took about 6 hours.